Welcome to Notepad. I'm your host, Ibrahim, Sani. We've got a great show for you tonight. The Department of Statistics Malaysia, or DOSM, has published the third quarter labour market review, or LMR, last week. The department says that the better labour market performance that was recorded or observed in the third quarter of this year as Malaysia entered recovery phase of the MCO, where most of the restrictions have been eased. However, the Department of Statistics did add that businesses were still adjusting and some have yet to resume full operations at optimum level. Because of that, DOSM has reported unemployment rate decline to 4.7% after recording a high quarterly rate of 5.1% in the second quarter of this year. Again, 5.1 in the previous quarter, 4.7 in this quarter, or the third quarter. And this is because the Malaysian economy actually is improving the third quarter, but because of that, the economy does indeed record some sort of a decrease slightly by 2.7%. Labour productivity per employed or employment improved with a smaller decline of 2.2% from negative 16% in the second quarter. So all this begs the question of how will job seekers try to understand a little bit better about the situation that is facing them, and how workers need to adjust themselves to meet the new demand and requirements of the job market facing the first quarter of next year. Joining me in this conversation on how we should rethink about how we want to be hired, and also how we need to be discussing on the marketability of ourselves as workers, two individuals, Azizan Zakaria, the people leader at PwC Malaysia, and Rina, Sarif, the Chief Human Capital Officer at Lembaga Tabung Haji. Thank you guys for taking the time to speak with us. Let's start with you, Azizan. At a time when coronavirus has impacted jobs globally, are there still opportunities out there for us to think about as workers? And of course, what can some of us do to earn a living despite most companies have stopped hiring altogether, facing retrenchments? What would be some of your thoughts regarding these ideas?
There are people who, started cooking and selling food, and like, the pilot who's now selling the mee curry in the USA. And interestingly, Tony Fernandez, he is going to start delivering food next month because he just started the food delivery app because he saw there is an opportunity to make money there, and because there is demand. But most of us who want to find a job, I guess at the end of the day, it's all about trying to upskill and reskill. And sometimes you just need to think about, whatever work that you can do. And some people decided to go into food business because it's not too bad. If you have good food to sell and you have a good customer base and you have a volume, you can still make a lot of money from there.
Some fresh graduates are expected to face major problems in getting jobs for the next few months. Do you think that the current situation is actually accommodative for youth out there? And do you believe what Azizan was mentioning just now, that the youth need to be a little bit more creative, start creating new opportunities for themselves, especially in the IR 4.0 kind of situation right now? What do you think?
Thank you, Ibrahim, and thank you for having us on your show. Now, from the government side, they have introduced SLIM since 2011. And we, the GLC heads of HR, we have been supporting the graduates, to train them and also to get them employed. So all in all, we've done our level best. So now it's up to the fresh graduates, whether or not, there are going to be issues, they're going to get jobs. But I think now it is time for you to take charge of your future and elevate yourself in terms of skills.
Azizan, let's toss back to you. Do you think that those that are living in the urban areas will be enjoying these kind of facilities and opportunities, but those that are living in suburban areas, rural areas even, what kind of opportunities do you think that they have right now? Because what we've been talking about is more of a rural setting, like food delivery and other items there. Any thoughts on those living outside towns and cities?
I've read this article once, Ibrahim, about this one guy who lost his job. He used to be a photographer, and he basically take advantage of his hobby in craftsmanship to build a rack for his wife to put his house plants. And subsequently, he actually uploaded the picture into Facebook, and start a business to produce racks, and he opened up a workshop with a friend. Basically, with the talent that he had and the drive and motivation, to monetize his talent, and he is now a proud owner of a workshop, producing racks and selling, to his customers. So what I'm saying here is, if you're living in rural areas and you've got talent, and you then apply drive and motivation to learn new skills, and you can actually turn something into business.
I still have another question for you. Do you think that because the idea of being creative is important in earning a living, we talked about the flight captain in full uniform selling delicacies and stuff like that, do you think that you want to share some interesting ones that people could think about that could be participated by those who had just lost their jobs, particularly during the MCO? What would be some of the thoughts there?
There's an opportunity for you to do freelancing, and there's some ways where you can actually find opportunities out there through online websites. I think in MDEC as well. There is an opportunity for you to also get involved in digital sites. So there are a few ways where people can actually find a way to make some money. I think the easiest is, of course, cooking and selling food, but there's a lot of people getting into that right now.
Rina, some have been advised to work from home. What are the kind of jobs that you think could be done by professionals from home? Do you think that this work from home trend will continue after the pandemic?
Working from home has been existent since 1970s, 1980s, and also 1990s. If you can remember, J.C. Penney actually introduced that home-based call centers. And while COVID-19 actually has accelerated the adoption of working from home, it was already on the rise. So to me, working from home, remote working could potentially become a norm following the COVID outbreak. Now, however, not all jobs can be operated from home, because based on the recent study from Kazana, the prevalence of working from home proxied by the percentage of occupations within an occupational category was evident amongst the highly skilled instead of the lower skilled job. Now, the high skilled job comprise of professionals, technicians, managers in the high paying sectors, for example, banking, IT, education, property, insurance. The mid-level skills would comprise of the clerical, the support, the assemblers, which is quite difficult for them to work from home, and the lower skill comprise of the elementary occupation. Well, I personally feel the new norm is a golden opportunity for us to hit refresh and take advantage of the crisis and not let it go to waste.
Some of the things that Rina was mentioning was quite timely, that it's been around for some time, but I guess it's been fully embraced right now in this day and age. What would be some of the ideas that you think about when preferred talents are being discussed at organizations around the country? What are the preferred talents to be hired during this situation, and how could one gain such type of talents within such a short period to be more, I guess, attractive in terms of hireability?
I'd rather not use the word talent, because talent means natural ability to do something, but if you do not have the right skills and willingness to learn new things, or for example, if you don't have the skills to apply critical thinking, for example, so it may not work. So what we normally look for in our people will be the human skills, like critical thinking, problem-solving skills, communication, and the willingness to learn new things, because now we are going towards a digital world. So you need to make sure that you have that hunger to learn new skills, especially in technology. And of course, technical skills, digital skills, basically can be the foundation, but you need to have that human skill. And if you combine human skill and digital skills together, you probably have a package, basically what you call, human difference. You can differentiate yourself from other people. So I guess that's what's most important.
Rina, do you think that you agree with what Azizan said?
Oh, yeah, indeed. Because right now, graduates or those who have lost their job during pandemic, now with the digital transformation booming right now, digital network, it is beyond boundary. You can upgrade your knowledge, free knowledge. You can get all the free courses by webinar, by your WebEx, and then at the same time, while waiting to secure jobs, then you yourself must be responsible to upgrade your knowledge with what's in the market right now.
Okay, Rina, I want to stay on with you. Do you think that practical knowledge is currently important right now? Do you believe that you need practical strategies if you are job hunting currently during the COVID situation right now? And what do you think is important for these kind of individuals to get during this period?
Right. What we need to understand is that what got you here won't get you there. What worked before may not work today, because right now we are hit by this turbulence of pandemic. So job hunters, whether you're fresh graduates, whether you're experienced hires who lost your job, whether you're freelancing or giggers, you should step up. This is an unprecedented time where so many people will be looking for jobs in limited market. But don't give up. Keyword is proactive. Now, again, I want to mention the digital network. It is beyond boundary. Connect yourself with job hunters, recruiters, talent acquisition heads of various organizations. Upgrade your knowledge. Now, the knowledge that I want to emphasize here would be cognitive readiness. This is specifically addressed to the fresh graduates. Now, we have a lot of opportunities for you. But what we feel as someone from receiving end is that you have the skills. Universities have helped you with all this academia, the skills you gather from university. But what's missing is right now, fresh graduates, you need to equip yourself with cognitive readiness, the skills, the paragon that upgrade yourself in terms of complex problem solving, metacognition, communication skills, having that positivism inside yourself. And you need to be different. You must be different from the rest of the people who are searching for jobs. And hence, when you have that niche market, you will be able to secure a job.
All right, we'll take a short break before we continue our conversation with Azizan and Rina. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is a Yayasan Peneraju Bumi Putra talk series. We're trying to unearth the conversation of jobs. How could job seekers rethink themselves in terms of being a little bit more marketable, particularly entering the new year? So because of this, joining me are two individuals from two highly esteemed organizations, Azizan Zakaria, the people leader at PwC Malaysia, as well as Rina Sarif, the Chief Human Capital Officer at Lembaga Tabung Haji. Let's start with Rina. Some sectors, for instance, the IT sectors, have seen some sort of a swing. It was reported that IT occupations in the US declined by about 134,000 in July last year. And since the outbreak of the pandemic, the net IT employment rose by more than 203,000. In your opinion, what would be one of the reasons that caused this upwards trend? And could this be seen elsewhere around the world, for instance, in Malaysia even?
Fantastic. Technology will continue to take center stage in Malaysia's development in the years to come. And key digital areas, namely cybersecurity, on-demand marketplace platforms, artificial intelligence, programmatic, hologram are booming. So at the same time, business leaders in the corporate sector as well as the multinational and public sector are now looking up to the technology experts to guide them in driving digital transformation projects. So despite the increase in hiring appetite, there remains a shortage of good skill tech workers, I would say, with the right attitude in the labor market. So yes, in the context of pandemic, Tech Republic actually stipulated in their report in July this year, technologies have become critical employees during pandemic. Because why? Because we business were forced to shift to a remote work style. requiring secure infrastructure support, dispersed network, building remote framework, and COVID-19 actually has undoubtedly expedited the widespread conversion. So hence, making the need for technologies spike.
Azizan, the demand for other sectors on top of tech is also in demand, including that of retail, health, pharmaceutical, and some data has shown that the demand for this kind of sectors is actually at an all-time high due to them becoming more important now than ever. What kind of training or knowledge sharing should job seekers be thinking about on getting themselves a little bit more attractive in terms of being employed in these sectors?
Well, Ibrahim, I think no matter what you do or in which industry you're going to go to, most importantly, you need to make sure that you have the right human skills. You know, the same old communication, agility, resilience, willingness to learn new things. But of course, now with this current pandemic situation and heightened need to enhance your skills in technology, you need to learn the digital skill a little bit more. And in fact, in PwC, we have this initiative, that we introduced to make sure that we upskill our people. We call it the New World New Skills, where we try to make sure that those who are already applying technology, we upskill that knowledge and experience. And for those who are not exposed to technology, we try to reskill them so that they will be able to use this technology. We did a survey a few years ago about what people in Malaysia would think about technology, and more than 50% of them say that they would like to learn more about technology. That shows that the Malaysian population has got a very good appetite to make them more skilled in using digital tools, right?
We fall back to that whole argument of IR 4.0. Rina, we talked about this earlier just now, and of course, Azizan has touched on this as well. I just want to ask you a little bit more about whether or not companies in Malaysia are actually moving forward towards getting more skills and technical skills, people that are familiar with Industry 4.0, and perhaps talk about how the hiring process is done right now. Are companies in Malaysia actually game for virtual interviews, for instance, when hiring new staff? Are they interested to, try to make the workflow a little bit easier in terms of getting staff working from home? What would be some of the ideas of how companies are readjusting themselves to the new normal?
If the last 6 months have actually taught us anything, it's that agility, that flexibility and adaptability matter now than ever. So the last 6 months have brought our common hiring process, from a different level, from typical face-to-face interviews to virtual interview, as well as virtual skills evaluation. Now, one thing that hasn't changed for us in the human capital fraternity is the importance of providing an exceptional candidate experience. Now, in Tabung Haji, for instance, we have adopted hybrid interview process without losing that candidate personalization. And so virtual interview is part of our VCX, we call it, as a VCX space called Triverse Virtual Connections in our quest to digitize recruitment. So in the new Tabung Haji Imagining Human Capital Framework, technology, search engine optimization, social media will be our core enabler to source, attract, select, and also assess our candidates. And our assessment, we have already embarked on gamification. So yes, technology is going to be at the forefront as our core enabler in our selection process. In getting candidates on board.
I have something that I want to declare to the both of you. I am resuming my studies at SEMA after postponing it for 6, 7 years. I just have a few more papers to go. But one of the reasons why I wanted to resume is because, of the fact that since we're working from home, I'm not saying that I have a little bit more time in my hands, but it does seem like an appropriate time for me to resume my studies. And because of that, perhaps we should ask about the world of accounting and finance as well. Maybe Azizan, you can take this. In this day and age of IR 4.0, do you think that companies, even though they are trying to become a little bit more digital, do you think that this is going to hit some traditional areas like accounting and finance? And what would be some of the job opportunities there?
Well, Ibrahim, course, when when you talk about digitization, there will be more automation, and people expect that when you use more digital tools, right? Analytical tools, robotics, AI, you expect that lesser people will be required. But I believe that there will still be opportunities for people in finance, accounting, or even tax consulting, and so on. Because the one thing about automation is there are certain areas that they cannot actually cover. For example, judgmental areas. Can they actually apply professional skepticism? And there's so much that technology can do. Although it would be great, I'm in audit, and it would be great if, let's say, we try to automate the process of auditing. But it will only perhaps help to make the process faster through the analysis of data and information. But someone still needs to read those information to see whether there's anything wrong with the data. And if you get this wrong, then you probably make wrong decisions. And this skill, applying judgment and professional skepticism, it is something that you need to build over time. And this is not something where if you're a fresh graduate, you will be able to apply it straight away. And these skills you build over time from the day you first start, working as a fresh graduate, all the way when you move up the ladder, you become a manager, senior manager, director, and someone very senior in any organization. Even then, if the exposure is different, the level of experience will also be different. So basically, there will still be a need for someone in finance, accounting, and so on. It's just that the amount of expertise, the level of expertise will be different. The manner that it's going to be carried out will be different. So I guess, rest assured, there will always be a need, for someone in finance.
What about you, Rina? Do you think that is going to be the way to go in terms of what Azizan just said about the accounting field, the field of accounting and finance? How do you think the demand is going to look like despite the pandemic? How relevant do you think they are going to be, particularly right now?
Actually, a recession-proof occupation, Accounting and finance jobs to us in HR would remain strong. There is going to be strong demand for this year and years to come despite the pandemic. And even under the Malaysia's Economic Transformation Program, producing 60,000 accountants by 2020 has been the target. And currently, I think, if not mistaken, is more than 33,000. And PH ourselves, just a few weeks ago, if you observed in LinkedIn, we have posted a lot of vacancies in accounting and finance, ranging from executive managers to senior management. And that being said, we actually, PH is an ACCA-approved employer for professional development and awarded platinum just last week for ACCA trainee development. But I'd like to highlight here, notwithstanding the profound demand in accounting and finance profession, I would call upon the finance and accountants to actually embrace yourself with new skills. For example, sustainability, digitalization, climate governance, and things like that to future-proof themselves.
Okay, we have to draw this conversation to a close. Any final thoughts? Maybe we start with Rina. Some tips before those that are facing a very daunting task of finding jobs right now?
Well, I would call upon all the fresh graduates or the experienced hires who lost their job. Do not lose hope. Take advantage of these constraints to shift your sense of the world. This is a time for you to unlock the power of less and stretch the mental model. The situation right now would demand a mental license that would otherwise remain untapped. So creativity is there. So push yourself to the boundary and don't give up.
All right, what about you, Azizan? What would be some of your tips, particularly those that are thinking about not just pursuing the jobs within their own space, but perhaps those that are thinking about switching careers as well during a pandemic? What would be some of the ideas you want to share with those kind of individuals?
I think my advice, Ibrahim, is if you've already got a job and you know it's very difficult to find a new job right now due to the limited opportunities available in the market right now, just stay where you are. But in any case, if you're still looking for a job, I think the most important thing is to be able to explain to the interviewer the reasons why you are changing jobs, because you need to give a good reason for that. And I think most importantly, you also need to think about what were the experiences and the knowledge that you gained in the past, and how you think that you can actually apply those knowledge in your new job. And I think what people should be mindful of is just be resilient, be agile, and just be patient. And hopefully one day when things get better, you will end up with a good job. And I've gone through that before. Before I started working in PwC, I used to work in fast food restaurants, and I gained a lot of experience which I treasure until today. And I actually applied some of the experience when I tried to join the firm during the interview process. So I guess everyone else can do the same too. Right?
Thank you very much. That was Azizan Zakaria, People Leader at PwC Malaysia, and we've also just heard from Rina, the Chief Human Capital Officer at Lembaga Tabung Haji. Thanks for coming over for this conversation. We will continue on this talk via the Yayasan Peneraju Pendidikan Bumi Putra Malaysia talk series. Just continue to find us on the web. Also, you can follow us on all our social sites, including that of 501 AWANI. You can also find this kind of talks or talk series on our website. Just look for astroawin.com, look for Notepad over there. Plenty of discussions like this can be found there as well. Until then, thanks very much for watching and goodbye.